Meghan Markle's Hollywood journey isn't just a story anymore. It's practically a soap opera unfolding in real time. What once looked like a fairy tale escape from the stiff walls of Buckingham Palace has now morphed into something juicier, darker, and far more tantalizing. The whispers are everywhere, the headlines scream louder with each passing week, and at the heart of this brewing storm, none other than Netflix's top boss, Ted Sarandos. Yes, the same Ted Sarandos who flung open the golden gates of Hollywood for Meghan and Harry with that massive multi-million-dollar Netflix deal. The very man who was supposed to be just a business partner is now being painted as something else. The leading man in Meghan's latest Hollywood chapter. And oh, the optics? Messy, dangerous, and absolutely irresistible for gossip-hungry tabloids. Let's rewind, shall we? Meghan didn't just stroll into the royal circle. She marched in with a determination that rattled centuries of tradition. Forget the image of the soft-spoken English rose. Meghan was American, divorced, opinionated, and a woman who knew exactly how Hollywood worked. She wasn't afraid of backroom games, of positioning, of timing her smile just right. That in itself was her secret weapon. From the very beginning, critics warned that Meghan had a bigger plan. They whispered that Prince Harry wasn't the final destination, but a stepping stone on a much grander climb. At the time, those whispers were brushed off as envy, as bitterness from people who couldn't handle a modern woman shaking up the monarchy. But now, with Meghan's alleged charm offensive towards Sarandos making headlines, even skeptics are starting to wonder, were those critics onto something all along? Think about it. Harry gave up everything. His military career, his family ties, his royal duties, even his place in the heart of Britain, all for Meghan. He sacrificed it all for that California dream, for a life where they could finally control their own narrative. The Netflix deal was supposed to be their golden ticket, their new beginning. The world waited for an empire of documentaries, projects, global dominance. But when the dust settled, the results? Well, they were flashy, but not groundbreaking. Sure, their projects made noise, but they didn't rock Hollywood to its core. That's where Meghan's relentless persistence comes in. She doesn't bow out when the spotlight flickers. Oh no! She sharpens her smile, resets her strategy, and finds another way to pull that spotlight right back onto herself. Insiders claim Meghan has been working overtime to get closer to Sarandos. They say she praises him in public, shows up at his events, and laughs just a little too eagerly at his jokes. Now, depending on who you ask, this is either clever networking or calculated seduction. And that line, the one between ambition and allure, with Meghan, it's always blurred, dangerously blurred. Hollywood has always been a place where charm wears many masks. What looks like friendly laughter can be spun into whispers of something more. And when you're Meghan Markle, a woman who has already broken the royal mold and turned tradition on its head, every glance, every giggle, every shared stage becomes loaded. Meanwhile, poor Harry, the irony cuts deep. Once celebrated as the world's most eligible royal bachelor, he now risks being cast as an afterthought in his own marriage. Supporters call him loyal, devoted, a man who chose love over duty. But cameras don't care about loyalty. Cameras care about body language, and lately Harry's looks tell a different story. Out of step, detached, the husband who seems just a beat behind his wife's Hollywood hustle. And let's not forget Sarandos. This isn't his first time in the spotlight of hopefuls. He's spent his entire career with actors, directors, and producers fawning over him. Everyone in Hollywood wants to be in Netflix's orbit. But Meghan, she isn't just another Hollywood hopeful. She's a duchess, a headline magnet, a woman who can spark a media frenzy just by stepping into a room. That makes her both an opportunity and a liability. Every laugh, every shared look between Meghan and Sarandos, even if innocent, is ripe for speculation. And gossip never waits for facts. The tabloids have already painted their caricature. Meghan, the relentless social climber. Harry, the sidelined husband, loyal but fading. Sarandos, the Hollywood kingpin being pulled into her orbit. It's brutal, it's messy, and yet it sells. Every whisper becomes a headline. Every headline feeds the circus. And Harry, he wanted out of the royal fishbowl only to step straight into a Hollywood shark tank. The image of Meghan Markle trailing just a few steps behind Ted Sarandos at Hollywood's glitziest events has become catnip for the tabloids. Flashbulbs pop, and suddenly her smile, her hand gestures, even the tilt of her head are dissected like a crime scene. Photographers catch the effortless way she slips into his circle as if she belongs there. And almost overnight, the gossip columns bloom with theories. Some insist she's simply playing the Hollywood game, showing up where the power brokers are, making sure her face is seen and her name whispered in the right rooms. Others, they claim the glances and proximity hint at something more calculated. The kind of attention that's less about ink on contracts and more about a hunger for influence, for power, for control, and whether that's true or not almost doesn't matter anymore. Because the optics, oh, Although the optics are enough to make Harry's place in this story blur with each passing headline. Meghan, of course, knows exactly what she's doing. Observers describe her as thriving under the relentless strobe of flashbulbs. She knows the game. Where to stand, when to laugh, when to linger just long enough to be noticed but never enough to look desperate. It's the same performance that elevated her from supporting roles on cable television to Duchess status. Hollywood rewards audacity, not passivity. And Meghan, she has mastered audacity like it's an Olympic sport. And what better target than Ted Sarandos, one of the most powerful gatekeepers in modern entertainment. He controls one of the largest platforms on earth. One nod from him can launch an empire. One handshake can open doors that would otherwise stay bolted shut. To Meghan, that kind of power is irresistible. Not because she wants glitz for herself, but because relevance is her currency. But then there's Harry. Oh, poor Harry. His wife may glide through rooms like she's choreographed the whole evening, but he cuts such a different figure. Where Meghan beams, Harry sulks. Where she lingers with ease, he looks stiff, out of place, almost awkward. The cheeky, carefree prince who once charmed the world seems to vanish when the Hollywood lights hit him. Instead, we see a man looking more subdued, more distracted, like someone who's lost the script of his own life. Friends whisper that Harry is frustrated, tired of the endless churn of rumors. But in Hollywood, silence isn't strength, it's weakness. His refusal to clap back, to set the record straight, only fuels the perception that he's being pushed further and further into the shadows. That he's no longer the bold prince, but rather the quiet accessory to Meghan's grand performance. Critics point to this imbalance as proof of Meghan's strategy. They argue she's always had her eyes fixed on power, aligning herself with figures who can elevate her status higher and higher. The royal family once served that purpose, until the palace walls began to feel like a cage. So Meghan broke free, and Hollywood became her next stage. Now Ted Sarandos represents not just an ally, but a golden gateway to her sustained dominance in the global narrative. The more Meghan is seen alongside Sarandos, the more she signals one unshakable truth: she's not fading, she's expanding. Her reach is stretching from the palace to Hollywood boardrooms, and every whisper of seduction, every hint of charm only cements her as a player no one can ignore. But her defenders are quick to push back. They slam these rumors as sexist drivel, arguing that if Meghan were a man, no one would bat an eye at her networking. They remind the world that Meghan and Harry's deal with Netflix is one of their most lucrative ventures, so of course she'd appear beside Sarandos. Why wouldn't she? To her supporters, the scandal says less about Meghan and more about the world's obsession with tearing down ambitious women. And yet, gossip doesn't care about fairness. Gossip doesn't weigh logic against evidence. Gossip thrives on suggestion, on insinuation, on smoke without fire. And right now, suggestion is painting Meghan as the Duchess who will do whatever it takes to stay in Hollywood's inner sanctum. The irony here is too thick to ignore. Meghan and Harry left the monarchy to escape the suffocating scrutiny of the British press. Yet in sunny California, the spotlight burns even brighter, the whispers cut even deeper, and the rumors sting all the same. Only this time, Harry isn't the rebel prince who defied tradition. He's the man playing catch-up to a wife who understands that in Hollywood, relevance isn't optional, it's survival. For Meghan, every public appearance is a balancing act. She cannot look desperate. Desperation in Hollywood is poison, but she also cannot retreat. Retreat would be spun as weakness. And if there's one thing Meghan Markle refuses to be seen as, it's weak. Her strategy, honed over years, has always been the same. Stay visible, stay talked about, stay relevant. Even if the conversation is unflattering, as long as her name trends, she wins. Because here's the brutal truth about modern celebrity. Relevance matters more than reputation. Meghan knows it. She lives it. And as long as she's standing beside Sarandos, photographed, whispered about, dissected, she remains powerful. But Harry? His dilemma is growing heavier by the day. The man once admired for his independence, for his fiery refusal to bow to royal tradition, now looks tethered to Meghan's ambition. Stripped of his military uniform, stripped of his royal duties, he struggles to define himself outside of her orbit. Once, he was the soldier, the rebel prince, the son of Diana who captured hearts with his humanity. Now, he risks being seen as little more than Meghan's plus one, a supporting character in her Hollywood saga. And the palace? The irony must sting. They underestimated Meghan from the start. They assumed she'd fold into tradition, accept the rules, play the quiet duchess. Instead, she treated the monarchy as another platform, a springboard, not a finish line. She sharpened her instincts under their roof and then carried them right into Hollywood, where those very instincts are not only rewarded, but celebrated. Self-promotion, headline mastery, the art of spectacle. All the things the palace tried to tame are the exact tools she wields now to thrive. So here we are, Meghan ascendant, Harry unsettled, Sarandos caught in the middle of a narrative he never asked for. And the story? It isn't cooling down anytime soon, because Meghan Markle doesn't retreat. She doubles down, she reinvents, she thrives on the game. And for Harry, the cruel twist is that while his wife rises higher, his own legacy feels increasingly fragile, increasingly sidelined, increasingly forgotten.